One of the only things better than a fun to drive vehicle is a very good looking fun to drive vehicle. And Nick and I are out in Long Beach, California with Toyota because they have some very good looking, very fun to drive cars. Nick, tell us about this Supra.
This Supra behind me, or I guess next to me, is the model year 2026 final edition. So this is going to be an all new trim for this model year, and it just refines what was already a great performance driving vehicle. Now what the final edition gets you, you're not going to get this paint color. This is something different we're going to talk about here in just a second. But the final edition is little tweaks here and there to the chassis, the handling, and under the body, it just makes it overall a little bit more complete and better handling.
Unfortunately, what that really means is that there is no power bump, and that's to be expected because we only have one option here, and this is the only Supra. And as disappointing as it is, good news, Toyota is still trying to make this more fun to drive, but just to get things out of the way, no more horsepower. But Nick, tell us what makes this more interesting behind the wheel.
Quick note on that, just if anybody hasn't driven the current GR Supra, I don't think it needs any more power. This 3-liter inline six under the hood that has been used in many different vehicles is fantastic. It's the chef's kiss, and I don't think it needs any more horsepower. What they're doing is going a step in the right direction. But this final edition, you get tweaks to the subframe. You get different bushings that are a little bit stiffer, a stiffer sway bar or stabilizer bar. You also get these beautiful matte black spoke style wheels with those Michelin Pilot Sport tires. Now, what's special about the final edition is going to be there's a little bit more camber. So that bottom end is going to be kicked out both in the front and in the rear. And what that gives you is better handling around corners. As you corner and that body weight starts to shift to one side, that tire now rolls over and is more flat to that surface. So on road and on track, you're going to find an improved handling. So the special edition, final edition, that's kind of a mouthful, is already fantastic. And then they're also giving you the option of a GT4 Pack. Now, what does a GT4 Pack get you? It gets you this phenomenal matte color. Now, this is one of two options for the GT4. You're going to be able to get this matte color. If you just go final edition, this is not available. You're going to get your standard Supra colors. You're going to get a gloss duckbill spoiler, carbon fiber here in the back. But when you go over to that GT4, as mentioned, matte paint and a matte carbon fiber spoiler. Now that GT4 Pack isn't too crazy. You're gonna get that duckbill spoiler. You're gonna get this side GR graphic down there on the lower portion and red mirror caps instead of a shiny gloss black. So it just changes the overall aesthetics a little bit, but there is some more changes on the inside that we're gonna talk about. So Travis, if you wanna hop inside, let's show them what's special about this trim. Now excuse the beeps that are gonna go on here for just a second, but inside you get premium materials. This is going to give you the best materials, the best quality that you're going to find in a GR Supra nonetheless. But with the final edition, you're going to get this Alcantara insert here on these fully leather bucket seats, GR embroidered up to the top, and you're also going to have red seat belts that just really kick off those red accents. Now on the GR86, there's going to be a couple of accents we'll talk about, but here you're going to get the red accents that just fits the overall theme. Now you're going to find that red stitching, you're going to find red perforation, you're going to find red on the shift knob, and that's a good point to talk about. Travis?
Yeah, so you don't have to pick whether you want automatic or manual. You do get both with both of the final edition and this GT4 Pack. So if you are someone who does a lot of commuting, you just don't want to wear your own gears, you aren't limited from this coolest version of Supra. But if you and I were ordering one, we would probably go ahead and shift those gears ourselves.
Yeah, I think so. If I'm going to go for a vehicle like this, why not go for that extra step and go manual transmission? Now again, that's the nice thing, and Toyota loves to give the buyer, the enthusiast, the option. Now if you want something that looks phenomenal like this, looks super aggressive and menacing out on the road, but you don't want to worry about kicking that clutch sitting in stop and go traffic up in the Pacific Northwest where me and Travis are, or down here in LA, if you don't want to worry about that, you don't have to worry about a clutch. You can get a 8-speed automatic. Now it's going to be a little bit of a different 8-speed than what you're going to find in the GR Corolla, but an 8-speed auto nonetheless. Now, you would buy manual, Travis?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I'd go manual as well. Depends on if it's my daily driver or not, but I love that they give you that option.
But this isn't the only cool GR model that Toyota brought us out to take a look at. Let's hop on over just one step and see what else they have. While that Supra probably is the fan favorite, and I do think it's earned its place, don't forget that the GR86 walked so that that Supra could run. And it for me, really started the rear-wheel drive performance-oriented vehicles that we see currently in the Toyota lineup, but it did so in the Scion brand, the FRS. And that's exactly what this is throwing back to, is the Scion FRS Release Series 1 in Yuzu yellow. That's what we have here, the Yuzu Edition. Nick, tell me you love this yellow.
I love the yellow. I never thought I'd say I love a yellow vehicle, but for some reason, when paired with this optional body kit here on the GR86 and all the black accents between the mirror caps, the window trim, those 19-inch wheels, 19, right? 19-inch wheels?
18-inch wheels, but gloss black, that's gonna be, excuse me, sort of a satin black, that's gonna be exclusive to this model. But let me tell you why I love this yellow so much, because I bought one when that Release Series 1 came out in 2015, and this is the most beautiful reincarnation I could imagine. And I'm gonna have a hard time not driving this out of here. People are gonna have to chain this thing down. But we don't get a ton of changes, and actually less than we saw over there on the Supra. So like the Supra, no performance bump under the hood, but what we do get is gonna be the standard performance package, something you can get on those other GR86 models, but as you would expect on the top of the line edition, it is gonna be built in here. Things like that spoiler, also included, color match, but the big exclusive piece here, and maybe the most controversial, is going to be here around back. Nick, we have a 4-cylinder engine, it's 2.4 liters, just over 200 horsepower, but we have quad tip exhaust. Do you think that a 4-cylinder should have 4 exhaust tips?
Why not? It's 2025, gonna be 2026. I think you can do whatever the heck you want. And when you can get it from factory as optional, that's fantastic. And I think it's gonna sound even better too, right?
Exactly. Now, we haven't been able to fire this thing up, but I can tell you I have heard it plenty of times on my old model. I expect a pretty similar sound, and this is exactly the way I'd want to go. If you don't want the whole body kit, you do at least have to get the lip kit here for the rear to make room for that exhaust if you decide to go that route, but I definitely think you should. Now, like that Supra, we don't have pricing, but because we don't have pricing, let's assume that it's going to be somewhat related to the current Hakona edition that we have of the GR86, and plus or minus a little bit there. There are a few more bits to talk about, but like I said, not here on the exterior, it's going to be on the inside. Hopping in is going to be a bit of a blast to the past, but it's also going to be a little bit different because there's a little more attention paid to this Yuzu yellow. Black is going to be your base color, and again, this is based on the premium version of the GR86, but we get more yellow accents. That's going to be things like stitching here, some perforations there in that driver's seat come through as yellow, stitching also in the steering wheel, handbrake, and in the shift boot. You can get this in a manual or an automatic, so no exclusivity on this model versus whatever transmission you want. But there is going to be some exclusivity in getting this Yuzu Edition. Only 860 are going to be brought over here. That's a little more than half of what the last version was, my old FRS, but you're still going to have to want to move pretty quickly if this is the one you want, and you might have to fight me for a spot in line. This should be the most fun to drive version of the GR86, not just because it's probably the best looking, but because it does come standard with that performance pack. Now, that doesn't mean more ponies under the hood, but it does mean a little bit more fun in the corners, which is exactly what you expect on a model like this. That performance pack is fairly simple. We have Sachs dampers and we have Brembo brakes, but that just means you can push it a little bit harder, which also means that you should be putting this engine to redline just about as often as you can because you want to make the most of those just over 200 ponies.
And last but not least, the hottest new member to the GR family, the Corolla. Now for the 2026 model year, we don't have specific details. That is yet to come. As you can see, it's still camouflaged. But Travis, do you want to point out some differences that we can see through that camouflage?
They won't let us in here and they definitely won't let us drive away with it, but there are a couple things worth noting. We have some vents, and more vents than we have found previously. We have some hood ventilation here, we have some vents right along the quarter panels there, and we also have a different rear wing. Now, I would actually love if I could just order a Corolla in this camo. I mean, give me the option, I'd absolutely take it. But it sounds like there are some fun things planned for this vehicle, but not only are we making you wait, it's because we're being made to wait. And I want to get my hands on this very, very quickly, but I think that's the whole point.
Now, the main purpose of these vents is to extract air, extract heat, and that is just in the name of track performance. Obviously, that's aesthetic on the road. It's not going to enhance your on-road capabilities, but when you take this thing out on track, not only is it going to stay cooler, it's going to have less aerodynamic drag because it's going to be evacuating air out of these wheel arches, and it's just overall going to make it a more refined product. Just like we were mentioning, that is the motto, kind of the niche of the GR name, the Gazoo Racing. It's refining what you already have.
This, however, is the more interesting piece because this means that you might need some more cooling under the hood, and more cooling usually means more power. But again, we don't want to speculate too much because we just don't have any more information, just this really attractive tease, and unfortunately that's probably what we have to leave you with.
No.
Nick?
They actually did say one little thing, I will say. They said a bump in torque. What does a bump mean to you, Travis? Is that 5 pound-feet of
Depends on
torque?
which generation you were born in. Listen, I won't throw out numbers, but with this much hype, I hope it's worth it. That's really all I have to say. But of these three, let's say 2, because we don't have much more information. Nick, Supra or that Yuzu Edition, which one would you love to drive out of here with?
Supra, all day. I love the rear-wheel drive aspect of it. Obviously, the 86 is that as well. Just has a different footprint. You know, with that Supra, you have that rear-biased, real aggressive sports car feel. And that inline-6 is a phenomenal engine that is shared across many platforms.
I think you just know you don't want to have to fight me for that Yuzu one, even though, because obviously that's the one everyone's clamoring for. Admittedly, that's the one I would drive out of here with. But the good news is that Toyota is still spending time, money, and effort on performance vehicles, fun to drive, fun to look at, and that's all we could ask for. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let us know down in the comments which one is your favorite. And if you have an idea of what bump means in power, go ahead and leave that down there as well. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, all of our social media places. Follow our podcast. Until next time, we'll see you down the road.